Guys, we saw a glimpse of it on Sunday, what a Nick Chubbless Browns offense will look like. I don't know. Is there a better way to say than Nick Chubbless?
Sounds funny, Nick Chubbless.
Chubbless.
I have a joke. Should I say it?
Go ahead.
Nah, actually, probably not.
Don't do it.
Yeah, I won't. But we saw what an offense with Deshaun Watson and Stefanski looks like without Nick Chubb in the rotation. Do you think anything we've seen from that game or anything in the past gives you confidence that you know what it'll look like moving forward? Or do you think what we see on Sunday might be really the first time anyone has actually seen what this offense without Nick Chubb will look like?
I don't think there's any way to predict for sure. We know the running game won't be as good because you just can't replace Nick Chubb. I don't care who you put in there. Right. It's not going to be as good. They didn't run the ball very well last week. They didn't need to, really, because they threw the ball really well. But there will come a game, again, even if Deshaun Watson is back to Houston, Deshaun Watson. Yeah. If we're lucky enough and that's happened, there'll still be a game or two or three where they're going to need to run the ball well. Yeah. We don't know if they're capable of that right now. I think that's fair. We could hope. We could, guess. But we haven't seen it. So I don't know yet. And I think they'll be tested these next couple of weeks again. Baltimore's defense, I don't know where their ranks are through 3 games. Their defense is, good but not great, I think. San Francisco's got a great defense. So,
we'll find out.
Yeah.
G?
Yeah, I don't think it's – to me, it's not so much of the gaudy yards and the yardage. I think it's about the attempts and trying to establish it. I think it's important that during the game, if you saw the flow that the Browns, had last week, it wasn't just let's go 5 wide and go up top.
They ran it a lot.
They ran the ball a lot. And I think if you establish that, I think it'll make it easier for Deshaun Watson to ease into the game plan that they want to do. Like we said, I think they are using Elijah Moore in the short throws to him as an extension of the run game. I think you'll still see a lot more of that going forward. But I do think you have to run Jerome Ford. And by the way, Jerome Ford has not played bad. Two touchdowns last week. He didn't have the production yardage, but 2 touchdowns, caught the ball out of the backfield. He had almost 100 yards against the Steelers. I think, if you can get, I don't know if Kareem Hunt is going to be up to speed like he was. I knew he'd probably be a little banged up.
We expected that.
Yeah, he's on the injury report already.
You're right. Yeah. You just don't show up and go play in the NFL game.
No.
That don't happen. But no, I think it's the attempts and keeping it, manageable. It's easy for everybody to say that, but trust me, I still don't believe that any quarterback can get back there and throw it 50 times consistently. It's just too much bad stuff that can go down.
Yeah. I think I want to piggyback on your point. We don't know. We've seen 4 quarters of Deshaun Watson in a Browns uniform without Nick Chubb on the field. We know
technically 6 because he got hurt in the.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
We know that with Nick Chubb on the field, Deshaun wasn't lighting it up. Mm-hmm. I'm being kind. He was 30th, 31st in some of the quarterback metrics.
He was bad.
He was bad. Now we've got a short sample size, very small, with Nick Chubb not on the field, and Deshaun Watson has looked completely different. Completely different. Lights out. I couldn't explain that any easier than I could explain how Baker Mayfield's production went through the roof when Odell Beckham Jr. wasn't on the field. That doesn't make sense. Sometimes you can have, in sports, addition by subtraction. I think it's rare, and nobody ever would have voluntarily said, let's take our best football player on offense off of the field and just see what happens. But something crazy happened, and perhaps it's this. Deshaun Watson's a rhythm quarterback. He wants to get the ball and go. And the Browns have even said, Jason alluded to this earlier this week, you might start to see them run a hurry-up package just because Deshaun feels more comfortable in that offense, in that rhythm. I'll equate it to a pitcher. Last night I watched Shane Bieber, and during the telecast, Rick Manning made a comment about how the pitch clock has so helped Shane Bieber. Now, he's 6-6, and he had a terrible season because he was injured. But last night, he looked like Shane Bieber. He had a one-hitter through like 5 or 6 innings. What he was doing was getting the ball and going. Go, go, go. And Manning even said, guys used to disrupt Bieber by stepping out of the box and calling for time because they could, and they knew it bothered him. They can't do that now.
Right.
And he's just getting the ball, go, go, go. And I think Deshaun Watson is going to work better in that kind of a system. And also, not having the cloud over his head that we've got to get Chubb involved because he's Nick Chubb. That is no longer there.
Yeah.
And was it an anomaly? Is it a sign of things to come? I think we'll find out in the coming weeks.
Yeah.
But to your point about there's going to be a time, I said this on Monday.
Yeah.
There is going to be times this year where we look down that bench and say, gosh, we need number 24 right now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
yeah.
maybe, listen, who knows? Maybe Watson would have had a breakout this week even with Chubb.
We don't know.
We'll never know that
you're
for
right.
sure.
We'll never
is
know.
it coincidence or is there something to it? In the Odell case, the Odell case is different than Nick Chubb in terms of Odell was being a pain in the butt.
He was.
Nick Chubb's certainly not a pain in the butt.
Never.
So
Yeah.
that's
But
a
Bull,
factor there.
The one thing that I was thinking about, though, is if you're an opposing defense and you're coming into week 4 against the Browns, as you're game planning, 24 is not on your mind. So you would think that defenses now no longer have to put 7 or 8 guys in the box.
Right.
So now that gives them the ability to drop more guys in coverage, thus making things more difficult for Watson to find open receivers.
Right.
But he threw the ball with pinpoint accuracy,
Right.
even when guys were covered.
Yeah,
He
would,
upped his
right.
game.
You would think the defense would be more focused on the passing game,
Right.
And
It
that
would be
didn't
harder to
happen.
pass.
Now the Titans happen to be a team that's really good against the run and really bad against the pass.
Yes.
So we'll see if that changes as the weeks go by. But you would think that. But you'd think as an offense now or as a defense, your first priority was Nick Chubb. Now it's Watson to Cooper. That's what you're most worried about when it comes to the Browns.
And they're doing a good job of just moving and chains. Like, a lot of what football is and I know it's kind of simplified, but it's third downs. It's 3rd and 4. They can run anything. Anything's cut. You can run. You can run a screen. You can run a draw. You can run your. You can go. You can put 2 tight ends in the game. You can go in.
The playbook's wide open.
It's wide open.
Yeah.
So the Browns consistently, and which it was encouraging, is they're starting to mirror the offensive game with the defensive game. One thing that gets you playing more free is the fact that, all right, on offense, I don't necessarily have to go to a specific person. They don't know where I'm going. I can spread around anywhere I want.
Right.
And on top of that, defensively, I know I got a stellar defense. So now I know I don't have to take certain chances. I don't have to take certain risky chances over the middle of the field. I can say, all right, well, I'm going to count on my dude to make a catch and probably run for 2 or 3 more yards, and you play into the strengths of your team. Think about that is for Deshaun Watson being like, you know what? We just gonna play ball control here a little bit. We're gonna try to move these chains and understanding that Myles Garrett and the rest of them dudes is causing problems on the other end of the field. That's big.
And let me throw something out there. I don't know. I'm just throwing this out there. You never know. Maybe there was something with the combination of Watson and Chubb that when Nick Chubb was on the field, there was some sort of tell that the defense was picking up on where they occasionally or always, I don't know, had a better idea of whether the Browns were running or throwing. You never know. You see that in baseball. A guy has a tell when he throws a curveball or whatever it might be. I'm just throwing stuff out there. I have no idea. But maybe that was a possibility. Maybe there was something to Deshaun Watson's body language when he was handing off. I mean, you never know. There's probably guys that study everything and pick up on something. Who knows? And maybe Nick Chubb is just so damn good that even when they knew they were running, he was able to overcome it to some degree. Who knows?
Yeah.
That's probably out there a little bit, but you never know.
Again, the Titans' defensive backfield is, if not the worst one in the NFL now after week 3.
You want to hear something crazy
They're
about the
one of
Titans' defensive backs?
Yeah.
Sean Murphy Bunting, who got called for 2 penalties in my mind. He gave the deep pass to DPJ, which was a perfect pass. He had an 89 PFF grade, which,
stupid.
once again, I know we always kind of look at PFF grades in what are they looking at versus what's the eye test showing. They graded high,
He was
but
responsible for 3 horrible plays for the Titans.
I agree.
Maybe more.
Yeah.
But at least 3.
I didn't get that one.
And he grades out at an 89.
I do have a theory on Watson I want to kind of throw out to you guys. And I mentioned this on Behind the Glass last night. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. But in Houston, Deshaun never had a running game.
Right.
Like, never had a consistent running game. He led the team in rushing one of the 4 years and was one of their top 2 rushers in each of his 4 seasons there. He had weapons. DeAndre Hopkins was there, left, then he had Cooks and Will Fuller. But there's something about an elite Uber competitor when they know, put the team on my back.
Absolutely.
It's on me.
Absolutely.
And I do think Deshaun at Clemson had a little bit of that. It was molded and developed even more in Houston when he was the focal point. He was the guy in the offense. And this is not a knock on Nick Chubb whatsoever. But when he came here, it was him and Chubb. They always had that secondary option. And now without
I think
Nick
there's
Chubb,
something to that, Mike.
it could be that Deshaun is, in a good way, feeling a little more pressure to know, I got to make things happen for this offense because we don't have the best running back in football standing by my side.
And that's what the elite players are able to do. They're able to assess the situation, look around, and say, it's on me now.
Yeah.
I've got to stand up and I've got to make something happen. And by the way, there was criticism of Watson playing poorly last year, but it was whispers. After the Week 2 loss to Pittsburgh, those whispers turned into screams.
That's right.
We heard them on the national media. We had plenty of them here in Cleveland.
Deservedly so.
I was extremely hard on him. You were extremely hard on him. We know that he's got rabbit ears. We know that he's listening to all of this nonsense. And maybe that was the tipping point. And he finally said, you know what? I'm sick of this. I'm sick. Maybe he put in extra film work. I don't know.
Maybe there's just some sort of freedom mentally of not having to worry about getting the ball to Nick Chubb.
Right.
Because you're not worried about how many touches Jerome Ford is getting.
No,
Nobody's worried about that.
Yeah.
You have to kind of. I take things all and I kind of dismantle them. You guys, first of all, people forget. He talked about not even wanting to be in a cold weather city. Remember?
Right.
So they talked about, so he wanted to play. All the other teams was Atlanta and New Orleans and Miami. Dome teams are hot teams. He went to the exact opposite of that, right? So
After saying no to that.
After saying no the first time.
That's when Haslam stepped up and wrote the check.
So he like, okay, I got to get used to that. You're in a new city. And then it's not like he came in and had this situation where there was nobody at quarterback. He came in and it was a huge personality at quarterback that was still here. And people still was like, no, we could roll with the other guy. So he was not beloved. It wasn't like he had too many people embracing him. And then you throw all the other national stuff on it. It was almost like, all right, well, the stuff got so loud. I think that last week he just said, listen, man, I ain't trying to fit in no more. I'm gonna not fit in. I'm gonna just do me. Like when you try to fit in so much and you try to take a backseat to Nick Chubb and you just want to fit in, you just want people to like you, sometimes you compromise what makes you a competitor. And sometimes you got to be like, look, man, I just got to go out here and throw this football like I know how.
But all this stuff we're saying only holds if he continues to play well.
You're right.
Yeah.
Was it an anomaly or
Right.
was it a pattern? I want to ask Mikey to do something while we're talking here. I was extremely critical of Deshaun's social media presence and usage, particularly when there were media outlets, national media outlets, that thought they had connected dots between Deshaun and a burner account, a fake account. Now, they didn't present any evidence to me
even know how.
whatsoever,
No.
other than the fact that the handle was Gainesville's own or whatever. He's from Gainesville, Georgia. And the account was created, or at least the first tweet from this account came shortly after the game against Pittsburgh. Mm-hmm. That's not enough evidence for me.
Yeah.
I didn't see any smoking gun whatsoever. I saw a lot of speculation and supposition. But I, for one, said Deshaun needs to put his thumbs away. No more social media use. McNuggets, what has his traction been like? His posts on Instagram and Twitter, because those are the two that he uses more than any, right?
Of Deshaun or of the alleged
Of Deshaun Watson.
I mean, since September 10th, he has retweeted a bunch of happy birthday tweets from fans, from Browns-related accounts.
I mean, original posts.
I don't believe any.
Interesting.
Hold on, let me confirm. At least on Twitter, I'll check Instagram in a sec.
I think he's more active on Instagram.
Yeah, he is. I'm looking through his Twitter. He has not posted anything himself in 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks.
That's interesting.
Trying to find the last one. Hold on. The last one he posted was after their first win on September 10th. That was the last time he posted anything that wasn't just a retweet.
I don't know that he's made a conscious decision, or is this just coincidence? I know normally he doesn't go those stretches without some sort of social media post. Maybe the Browns got to him and said, look, too many distractions. Do yourself a favor. We're strongly recommending you put that stuff away. You're a free man. You do whatever you want. But we don't think it's doing anything to make you a better football. I don't know that this happened. I'm just spitballing. I'm just guessing. But I think if that were the case, that would be a good thing for him. Don't look at it either.
I got your Instagram stuff real quick if you want.
Go ahead.
So he posted after the win. He posted a win post with his teammates. It was his birthday a few days later. He posted a couple birthday posts.
After week 1, right?
Yeah, his birthday was the 14th.
Right.
He posted a video of him working out with his personal trainer.
Yep.
He posted a video from his new, I don't know if it's a podcast or what it is, but it's on Lockerverse, him and Quincy Avery, but a clip from that. And then he posted a picture 3 days ago with pictures from the Titans game saying on to the next.
Okay.
See, for me, I don't listen. I don't care nothing about it. You know why I don't care nothing about it? Live your life. Like, you know, you got one life to live. To me, when you look at social media or whatever the case it is, that can go for any one of us. People got a lot of followers. You can either tweet a bunch, or you can be like, all right, I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna be done tweeting and chill out. Everybody has to have that filter where they're like, okay, let me lock in. LeBron do the same thing. LeBron will tweet and retweet. He retweet wine, and then he gets to the playoffs. He say, I'm going 0 dark 30. For me, I think one of the things is, if that's an expression that you want to make and that's an expression that you want to have as a person, you're entitled to it. The only thing I'm looking at you as saying is I want that, them numbers. And so
that's all that matters.
That's all. If you hit that, you hit them numbers. It don't matter if you want to have Twitter, Facebook, and an Instagram party and have people come through. All we want is them numbers. And so my thing is, I know Deshaun Watson is going to put the work in behind the scenes because the way he talks about the game. That's why I think, to my point, what I was saying earlier is, he just said, screw it. I'm going to just be myself. Like, if you be yourself, and Coach Prime says this a lot, if I'm going to be myself and that make you uncomfortable, then that's on you. I can only do what I can do. And I'm seeing him play freer, clear. He ain't trying to do it like I saw Clemson Deshaun Watson right there. Because the celebration, the exuberance, the excitement. And sometimes when you lose something like a Nick Chubb or you lose it, you say, okay, well, I got to be the energy for the team. I got to have that energy because they could have came out there and got smoked. That Tennessee Titans game was a trap game. You got beat at Pittsburgh. You had all them face mask penalties. People was writing you off. Your best players going for the year. That was a game where the Cleveland Browns was set up to get smoked, and they came out and flipped the script. That showed me he had a little look. He's getting back to being the old guy that says it don't matter what's happening, just put it on me.
I think when it comes to social media, you know, we all want to impose maybe our beliefs on what people should do.
Yeah, and that's not fair.
And that's not fair. You know, you and I are older. We're in our 50s.
Yeah.
He's 25, 26.
Right.
He may be rich. He may be famous. He may have people saying horrible things to him. But, you know, but if it gives him, you know, we say, well, what's the benefit of social media? Maybe it gives him pleasure to put out the videos for his fans, the people that like him, and maybe he doesn't read the comments or doesn't read, you know, maybe he has somebody that filters them for him. I think when the player's playing well and the team's winning, none of it, we don't care about any of that stuff.
No.
You know, they could be.
But when you're losing, it's a problem.
Right, then we bring up all these things, right? You know, like it was like with Baker. You know, Baker was very arrogant. He was doing all this cocky stuff. When he's winning, you love it. Look at that cocky Baker. When he's losing, it's like, why the hell is he doing that crap?
Right.
And we do that with all players, and it's really unfair, but, you know, that's part of the beast. The reason players make so much money and the reason there's so much talk is because it's so popular, and so we talk about it a lot, and that's the downside
and
for it a little bit.
You said something right there. I don't want to be like I'm 42. I may look young and act young. I like jewelry and dumps. I like rap music, and I'll play video games. But one thing you said you got to take in consideration. These guys is in their 20s. These dudes is 28,
Yeah.
27. Look how many years we had to have experiences to know what we should be doing or
Right.
not doing. Or let me fall. I still be doing stuff as I shouldn't even did that.
I can't even imagine, G. Like, I'm thinking back to when I was like 25. If I had been famous and rich, and when I was with my mental capacity when I was 25, I probably would have gotten in so much trouble.
I'd have been dead and in jail. I'm
So,
going to keep it
I think
real.
most of us would have, Bull.
Yeah, I mean, so
I thank my lucky stars all the time. There wasn't
my
social media when
God.
I was 20.
Oh,
right,
My
I did some
God.
crazy stuff in my 20s.
Yep, so did
can
I.
you imagine Jay in the bar when he was 26?
It wasn't a pretty sight.
Hey, man, he was in there selling dreams.
And a lot of these guys grew up in the social media age. That's all they've known their
Yeah,
entire
that's
lives.
right.
I mean, you
Yeah,
don't
they
have much
grew up on
younger
it.
than me.
And let's face
Yeah.
it,
to grow
social
up in that
media
era.
is addictive.
Yeah, it
it's
is.
addictive.
Oh, there's